Do you know what's the best thing about summers in Berlin? We don't have a beach. People go to lakes like it's a 70s slasher movie. And lakes have trees, and trees have shadow, and shadow is good for your fresh tattoo. If you live in a beautiful sunny place near the sea and you're reaching for a new piece, you don't have to wait until the fall. Don't worry, just take a plane and come here. You can have some fun during the weekend, which here lasts until Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, then a day or two of recovery, and then boom, new tattoo. Click the link in the description below and fill in the booking form. The crazy thing is how counterintuitive it is. So I think that
and it's also a marketing tool, no?
Exactly. So it's
also
really
as a tattooer to say, like, I'm super green, I use bioplastic.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I want to see the best in people, but I see how proudly people rock that
No, they
flag.
believe it. I don't think that's not, most people believe it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so tell me a little bit, who are you, lady? Why are you sitting in my couch in my living room? Let's start with the beginning. What did you like the best about me when we met? Tell me a little bit about the job. NGO what?
So it's a German-based NGO that works in every kind of political field, from energy over circular economy, over traffic. And yeah, my role is mostly in communication. I do the campaigns. So I'm responsible to condense the information of our experts into something that is easy to understand outside. And in best case scenario, motivates people to do better.
Yep. How difficult it is to translate from nerd to human.
Difficult. Very difficult, to be honest. It's fun also. It's cool to get the insight. So
how much they suffer when you go like, look, this is very specific information. We don't need it. Like, but we do need it. It's really important. Do they lose a piece of their soul every time you remove a chunk of information that you think would be lost in translation?
Strongly depends on the person, I would say, but yeah, some of them do. Most of them also see the benefit after a while. I think the first times is really, really painful, and then you understand that you will never be able to get somebody to do something if they don't understand what you're asking. Plus, I mean, I have you as a husband, so I have a lot of training in getting complicated ideas into something that people can actually understand.
Translating to humans. What he meant to say.
Exactly.
In a nutshell.
So you kind of helped me.
And so how did we stumble upon that? I think at some point, probably it must have been like 2021, right? I like we had already like spoken a lot about, I think even before companies started coming up with like eco-friendly solutions and whatnot. I think a few years ago when I started working on setting up studios, right, and looking into material, equipment, providers and whatnot, we had already talked a lot about how bad it was from a environmental perspective, and we had joked around with the idea that having, you know, either a company, a material company that would be a little bit greener, or some consulting services would be a niche that wasn't exploited.
I still think there's something.
Yeah, I think so too. But
yeah,
I think then it wasn't until we opened up the studio and then we really looked into it, going, come on, is a studio co-owned by an environmentalist? We have to use the chance to kind of make a statement, show how things could be. And we realized that there was nothing that we could do differently. I mean, in terms of, there was no magic solution that would allow us to just wave that flag of like, this is the first ever fucking green studio because blah, blah, blah.
The solution is not as sexy and beautiful as you think.
Yeah, and it happened gradually. Every time that I would bring a potential solution, like a fucking golden retriever with like a bone, and I was like, hey, are you proud of me? And I was like, yeah, that's
just fucking depressing. It's part of my job.
I know, but you know, it's the way, like you have to point out the things that don't work before you kind of are able to figure out what the solutions may be. So let's go step by step. So it's 2021, right? And then I go and tell you like, I got it, babe, I got it. There's this thing, it's called bioplastic. It's all biodegradable. You can use as much as you need because it doesn't care. It helps even trees to grow. We can have our like clip cord sleeves made out of that. We can wrap our machines with that. We can use like the rinsing cups made out of biodegradable plastic. Fuck, isn't that great? And you went like,
well, I told you it's a fantastic idea from somebody who created plastic. Afterwards had the fantastic idea to create bioplastic.
So that was the first thing that shocked me. You say that most of the times it's the same exact companies that produce one and the other, right?
Yeah.
So that by financing the alternative, you're actually just helping the same companies to pocket money.
I mean, in a way, it's just a solution to keep going, because they realize, of course, that plastics, the image of plastic got so much worse in the last years. Like, we are all aware that plastic is not a great solution. And we're all aware that we don't know where the hell to trash all this plastic. And we like transport it to China, to India. We have like mountains in the oceans. So we all know it's shit and we have to somehow get away from it. And they know too. So they came up with this beautiful solution to make plastic out of some organic products.
I feel now like after they killed Kenny, like they who? They, the motherfuckers.
I mean, it's big companies. It's BASF and many other, mostly German companies that produce plastic, and started like investigating what else you can do and started bringing out the first bioplastic product.
So you think is not so much like trying to find legit solutions, but rather just making it more appealing for a younger hipster demographic that doesn't vibe so much with plastic.
I don't know. I mean, this is me, and I work in that sector for so long that I'm very skeptical with ideas that come from the industry, because until now they haven't brought that much in my eyes. So I think there is always money as a big motivator and not making the world a better place. But that might be just me.
And even if it's making the world a better place, it would just arguably be so that we have more years before the end of the world, and those years are years that you can make money in, right?
Yeah, in a way.
That would be it. But so is the same people behind. So just in that regard, you should look very carefully which companies are you helping grow and expand and contributing to make them big. But it's not only that, right? Like,
it's like you don't even know as a consumer. How do you know? You buy a bioplastic product, you have no way of finding out who produced that, because it's not the same name. It's like a company that is an arm of another company that has a name that sounds amazing and has something like plant, planet, eco, something like this in the caption, and then the logo is like a little beautiful flower or something, and it looks nice.
Or a panda. Or...
Yeah, but it's not helping. So it's very difficult for the consumer. I'm not blaming the people that buy the solution. I'm blaming the industry.
And so why with the current infrastructure, bioplastic is not even that it's not a solution. You told me that it's actually worse than using good old plastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why?
I can try to break it down.
So let me see if I remember, okay? And then you tell me.
There you go.
So you said that the degradable, or like the melting down periods of biotrash and bioplastic are so far apart that by the time the bio waste can be turned into compost, the bioplastic still stands like fucking huge chunks inside, and then it needs to be fished out using resources that burn CO2 and whatnot, to then be thrown to the black one and be burned, which emits way more CO2.
That is true. I think now that is true. I
don't need you anymore.
You start a little bit in the middle of it all.
Okay.
But it's true that like bioplastic products are made out of plants.
Yeah.
Most of them, not all of them, by the way, but most of them are made out of plants. So it sounds great. Plants regrow, plants are made without fossils, all things we love. So first problem is that they're called bioplastic because they're made out of a biological product, but they're not bio in the sense that you and I think of a bioproduct, because they are made with conventional farming. So you use huge areas, because sugarcane and corn, you need to produce extreme amounts of that. I mean, imagine that's all space that you can't use to produce food anymore. Like you could, I don't know, give lots of people something to eat, lots of cows something to eat. But what you do is you produce plastics with that now. You need lots of water, you need lots of fertilizers and lots of pesticides, which we don't like because they're really bad for biodiversity.
Yeah.
And now if you imagine that somewhere in like Brazil, like mostly where we have a lot of space, no? So you need to go outside of Europe also.
Yeah.
You have lots of space. If you use all this space to produce bioplastics, you're not going to do that in a biological way. This is a mass production. It's a monoculture. It like brings down the fertilization of the ground. It's really problematic. And then you transport all that shit somewhere and you make bioplastic out of it. Great.
So it's not even the transport of the source material into the whatever facility that changes into plastic. That's also problematic, right?
That's also CO2 emissions. I mean, it sounds like bioplastic is, I don't know, something that comes out of the earth and is like super ecological and natural, but the process is really difficult already. And it's not bio in that sense.
Yeah.
And then on the label as a consumer, you see that there's written like, this is degradable or this is compostable.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. Sounds like what you said. I take it, I use it, and I throw it in the biotrash.
Yeah.
Because that's where I throw biodegradable things.
Yeah.
And that's where your point comes in. Yeah. You can't do that. You're not even allowed to do that in Germany.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, imagine you throw like a thick cup of bioplastic inside the trash.
Yeah.
The rest of the products that you have in a biotrash are normal, natural products. They're not produced, so they're not hard. Yeah. They're not made with chemicals. It's a completely different thing. Now, in one of these like places where they compost the biotrash, they have a certain amount of time, I don't know, 40, 60 days, something like this.
Yeah.
The bioplastic would need months, years to fall apart.
Yeah.
What they do is they can fall apart in a lab with a lot of heat and in a way that you need very special conditions to do that. In nature, never fucking ever. Like you can throw your bio cups in nature. It will take as long as it takes for normal plastic. And the same is in the trash. So what they need to do is they fish it out and they put it to black trash and they burn it.
Okay. But wait. You said it would take the same as normal plastic. Normal plastic never disappears, right?
Yeah, normal plastic also disappears after a while. It falls into microplastic and then it disappears in the ground. You can't see it anymore. That's why you and I, every fucking day of your life, you take like a certain amount of plastic into your body.
Okay.
I think it's around the size of a MasterCard every month that you intake through microplastic, through water, through whatever, you know? We all wash our clothes. Microplastic is everywhere.
And is it...
But nobody knows what it's going to do.
Okay. So, yeah, I was about to ask, is it as bad when that is bioplastic as it is plastic? No one knows what that does to you.
The thing is, what comes out is like you start with the natural product, but what comes out is not a natural product. It needs a lot of chemicals and a very big chemical process to make out of sugarcane plastic. And I mean, that's logical, even if you think about it. How else should that work?
I don't think that no one traces that back to the source. You know, it just sounds great. But that's how moronic we tattooers are, because all these, even if you would not know that information, this idea of like, it's biodegradable, so I throw it to the bio trash and then it disappears. We cannot throw things to the bio trash because everything is biohazard that we have, right? It has...
In your case, totally.
Yeah, anyway, everything goes to the black. So I think then it's not even so much what's the difference in terms of turning into compost or whatever. I think the end is all the same. It has to get burned because it's biohazard.
Yeah.
So I think people were just hoping that that it was not using like, how's it called, like fossil.
Which is an advantage. I mean, you don't use fossils.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a fossil product. There's no oil inside, you know?
Yeah.
But like I said, the whole way of the production, how much water, how much energy, and how much is in this process, that's not, the story is not told.
So I think maybe from the outside, when you don't know enough about environmental protection, we tend to think that things are a little bit more binary than they are, right? Like we go, does these get the green seal of approval, or it doesn't? Is it good or is it bad? And I think there's like different ways to measure the good and the bad of different products. And then it's probably just a matter of like putting all these metrics and defining not so much in good or bad, but rather in percentages the harm or damage that they do, right? I guess that if you look at it from the perspective of like natural resources, maybe bioplastic could be better, but if you look at it from the perspective of CO2 emission, then it's worse. And if you look at it from the perspective of the amount of effort that needs to be put in then separating, then it becomes worse.
I think that's all just too fucking complicated. You know, I can't expect anybody, not you as a tattoo artist, not anybody that stands in a supermarket and makes a decision. Nobody can try to figure out all this information. That's impossible. So what you need is a clear communication, and what they do is fucking greenwashing.
Okay, familia, no more reading exercises. You know what time it is, I know what time it is. It's donation time. We're of course super thankful if you like, comment, subscribe and share. No complaint there whatsoever. But we also need some money. A man has to eat. That's why we've launched a GoFundMe campaign to collect donations not only for this channel but also to help support my other two projects, Newfob and Hiragana Studio, which are like my babies. And both of them, not one but both of them, are non-profits that support independent tattooers. The work that I do there is pro bono, which is a really fancy way to say for free. So the cool thing about GoFundMe compared to other crowdfunding platforms is that it's not all or nothing. This means that you don't need to reach the campaign's goal to have access to the donations. So every donation that you send minus a little percentage for the platform will find its way to us and help us sustain these projects. Click the link in the description below, read a bit more about the campaign and help us continue the good work. Define greenwashing for me and for all the morons like me.
So basically, if you try to greenwash a product, you try to sell something as eco-friendly and environmental friendly and plant-based when it's not. So you put like a green mantle over your product and tell everybody that this is gonna save the world.
Not only so that the product gets more love and consumed more, but it's actually a factor that allows you to increase the price, right?
It's a huge marketing factor. Everybody is greenwashing products by now. And when I say everybody, I mean also like oil companies like Shell now sell their fuel for cars as CO2 neutral. Greenwashing is massive in the industry.
They get away with it because of these like trading companies.
That's a whole other topic that I'm not going to go into. That makes me furious, as furious as bioplastic. But yeah, so greenwashing is big in the market. It's about cash, lots of cash.
That would be maybe like what would get you, what would get your wheels going to go on a rant on your own. Like you bring those stock companies and I let me a camera.
SUVs could also be a ranting topic for me. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the solution in your eyes to prevent this? I don't know if this is like an official position from your foundation or is your personal feeling about it, but you always say that in your opinion it's governments who should sort of like chase the ass of these companies because these decisions should not be put in the hands of the final consumer, right?
I think as a final consumer you have no chance to know what's behind these marketing strategies. Lots of people that buy bioplastic products try to do better. They really want to like help the world. The problem is that the companies who sell you the product don't want to help the world. They just want to help themselves. So in my eyes, I can't expect you as a consumer to make a 20-minute research if you should buy this or that product.
I mean,
too much.
Knowing that the tattooer, I don't know. I mean, yeah, probably is the final consumer, right? Like
Of course you are. If you buy the product, you're the final consumer. Then, of course, you apply it on somebody else, but you're the one who buys.
And I do know that some clients do their due diligence and their like homework when it comes especially to vegan products or like cruelty-free products when it comes to inks that have not experimented with animals and whatnot. But
you have to rely on the label there too. If
yeah,
the label
but I mean,
says this is cruelty-free, you have to believe it because they can't expect you to go on a like research trip.
But that as a tattooer, but as a client, you have to trust your tattooer.
Yeah.
And I know that most people just base their decision on the artwork or the reputation of the artist and whatnot. But there's a lot of clients that seek that information from the artist before booking the appointment. But I have to think that the people that announce themselves as being, fully vegan, cruelty-free, and bio or eco tattooing, it's not gimmicky and that's not greenwashing themselves. They really, truly believe that they're doing the right thing and they're just announcing it to the world so that the clients don't have to ask, but they can make their informed decision. But so...
in most of the cases, I think that is true.
Right?
I'm not blaming any tattoo artist. I'm not blaming any costumer. I really think that's systematic fraud, and it makes me angry because I work since years in the environmental sector, and this is not the only product or not the only greenwashing idea that works with the same system. It's always the same system, and governments know it and companies know it.
So how do you stop it in an industry that like operates worldwide? Let's say where never like there's no tattoo studio that is like kilometer zero. We all like get needles from factories in Eastern Europe. We buy these products in the Netherlands. This other product comes from the state. How do you get this governmental legislation?
You have to start somewhere. Start in Germany. Like Germany has no controls, nothing on this. Mm-hmm. You can write whatever you want on your product. Because yes, it is degradable in a lab. That's not written on your final product.
Yeah.
But yes, in a lab it works. But who cares if that works in a lab? Who has a lab to do that?
Yeah.
No one. So what I think is like we need a better regulation. We need it on German level. We need it on a country level. In all the other countries, but we especially need it on a European level then, of course.
But wait, you're saying like this is important, but it's not as important as the blue and green pigments. This is the most important, right? Like we're all legislation.
Come on, the whole color thing is so annoying.
No, it's really important. It's way more important than the biodegradable plastic. So like get yourself in line. First we take care of the blue, like we take care of the evil blue, then we can talk about plastics and whatnot.
You're right. Okay? I mean, the officials know.
But yeah, you're right. So I think then at least you like there's still the chance of people like bypassing the legislation and going like, oh, I cannot get any more from that company in Germany because now whatever, I'm gonna get everything abroad. But start small and then try and set an example and expand, right? Yeah.
Make it easy for the consumer. Make it easy for the person that buys. At least if I see a label, I want to be able to trust that that's what's in it. And I don't want to be standing there the whole time like, is this true? Like, can I really do this? And the worst is, by buying this shit, you think that you do great. Mm-hmm. You pat yourself on the shoulder and you're like, I did a great job for the environment. Yeah. I saved the world, man. I'm paying more money. I'm like investing in bio stuff. And I can use as much of this as I want. It's made out of sugarcane. I mean, what bad can that do to the world? But that prevents you from actually doing something because your awareness of your CO2 footprint and of what you do to the world vanishes. So they take you the chance to do better. Yeah. That's the worst. Makes me really angry.
So before going to like sci-fi speculation and see all my hopes and dreams shattered by someone that is knowledgeable and an expert in the field. So with the tools that we have right now, what is the best route to making an impact when it comes to tattoo practice, for example?
It's going to be very sad.
I mean, I live by it. I know how fucking sad it is, but just
it's very boring also.
Share
sorry in
for
advance.
people, break some hearts out there.
The best you can do is still avoiding plastic and reuse. So it's always the same. It's about a circular economy.
Mm-hmm.
Every kind of product that they're going to invent that you can use and then throw away will always be shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's made out of plants in the first place or not. There's always a huge production and there's always a huge part that is recycling or burning. Both not great.
So
It takes resource. What you need to do, avoid it.
In our case, that everything is biohazard, needs to be burned, there's only one way, which is use as less as possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can use like things that if you can use needles that afterwards you can disinfect. I'm not sure how the process is called.
So yeah, not needles, but the tubes.
Tubes.
Like if you can use like steel tubes instead of like one-way plastic, that's a great change. Yeah. Then, like to everyone that wonders why I keep on doing things with my elbows and feet around the studio, I try to change gloves once, if possible, only through every tattoo session, no matter if it's like 3 or 6 hours. I make sure that I have everything set up so that once I glove, I don't need to unglove constantly.
Yeah.
I try to get as, I don't know, tight as and stingy when it comes to like plastic wraps and minimize as much as I can, because there's no way that you can even contribute to that circular economy when you have everything with blood pattern and blood splatters and all these. For us, it means burning. I think there's also a conversation to be had maybe about like having tattoos in bundle and trying to minimize the amount of appointments that you give a client. I know it's counterintuitive when it comes to the money that you're spending, because new setup, theoretically, it sets the money again high. So it's better for you to...
Yeah, and honestly, there's a lot of margin in what you just said. If I see some of your colleagues like wrapping things 6 times and like using 25 different gloves, and you're like, wow, is that really necessary? I think there's a long way to go till you arrive to a point where you can say, okay, I used the minimal amount of one-way resources that I could.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always a learning curve. I see that people that don't have a lot of experience,
it's being nervous.
Exactly, and every movement feels a little bit awkward. So I am actually happy when I see that in case of doubt, I unglove and change the setup and reglove again. So it takes experience and years of doing it to be able to be minimal with the amount of material. But so far is the only effective way.
It's the only way. It's like avoid it as much as you can. Reuse whatever is possible, which isn't much in your sector, I know. But I mean,
Steel tubes is
that's a possibility. And you use lots of energy, for example. Go there. Like, think about your energy consumption. What can you do to minimize your energy consumption?
Everyone hand pokers.
For example, what can you do if you use a machine? Like, use an energy supplier that has like eco energy. Like, there are so many things that I could tell you what you could do to get a better carbon footprint. You know?
Let's get to the positive. Now we
know there are ways.
Now we know what things are not making a difference, and not only that, but they're actually making things slightly worse, right? What can you do? What little and unsexy things can you do to actually make a tiny bit of difference? Eco energy supplier for your tattoo studio.
Absolutely.
Steel tubes that can be sterilized and reused.
Yeah.
Minimizing the consumption of one-way products that will be thrown.
Yeah. Separate your trash.
Separate your trash, the one that is not like, because
but you have you have people in the studio that bring trash. I mean, I see that in your studio. You don't only have tattoo trash. There's lots of trash. There's lots of people in places like that. You can separate trash. That's an important first step.
What about, because that's, we seem like psychos. We have plastic and paper around the studio, and the whole time it says like, no stencil, no stencil, no stencil. What about the stencil papers? Do they go in the plastic? Do they go in the paper? Or do they have to go into the black?
They don't go to the paper trash. Paper is really only for paper that has no like plastic layers and waxed layers and stuff on top. So lots of the paper that you use for food, for example, if you have these paper boxes or these paper cups that people tell you like, oh, this is perfect, it's paper. It's not true. It has like a layer of plastic on top, so that all goes to black and that's all burned. And the same is true for your stencil paper, unfortunately.
So these are the unsexy solutions. Now let's go to the sexy ones. Okay. Here's a...
Curious what that's going to be.
Here's a like sci-fi idea. What if tattoo studios would have next to the station also separation, trash separation, knowing that these trash needs to be handled like biohazard would, right? Like we have paper that is mostly thrown throughout the tattoo session, and it has like blood and it has, you know, like bodily fluids and whatnot. And then we have a lot of the things that are mostly used on the setup and that then are trashed at the end of the session, which is all the plastic wrappings for the things, right? What if you would have two separate trashes at the station, and then those trashes would go into a bigger trash from the studio, which separates, and then you would have a company that is paid. It should be paid by the state, but at first it could be like self-organized within a association of tattooers that pick your trash, your studio trash, not your like individual trashes, on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, and then they bring it into a facility, let it sit and cook there until things actually degrade, and then they are brought into the local trash plant or whatever, and they are thrown with the biotrash. All these transportation and handling done by people that know how to go about handling biotrash, biohazard trash, and then making sure that you just cover that difference of timelines in turning into compost. Does that make any sense? I mean, you still have like how dirty
it does,
the origin of bioplastic is. So I don't think that
I think
that's the phase that
sounds very, very complicated. Sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money. Like we need extra factories. And I mean, you create lots of trash in tattoo studios, but not that much that it would be worth to get a whole industry going for that, you know? Because you then need it in the different cities also. It's not that you could only have one in Berlin. Maybe in Berlin would be worth it. But go to another city, it's not. I don't know. I don't think it would be very sustainable, to be honest.
When thinking about this, I was thinking so hard, and I went like, okay, you know, if it tanks and it bombs, at least people will get to see live how these conversations go over dinner.
I'm absolutely aware that I'm a fucking buzzkill.
But it's
part of the job.
Yeah, and rightfully so, and thanks God, because I think you know, it's in our nature to always try and find that like one clean technological or a logistical solution that all of a sudden allows us to not have to change.
We all don't want to change, exactly. I mean, you can't blame anybody for this, but no one wants to change. We want to keep our lifestyle. We want to find a solution that makes it possible for us to do what we do and get rid of all these fucking problems.
Yeah.
But that's not... I can unfortunately assure you, it's not going to happen. Like, it is about change. And change doesn't necessarily have to be bad and annoying. Change can be good. Like, we can get new habits. There are lots of things that we just got used to over the years. 100 years ago, they haven't been like this.
What about? I cannot give up. I'm sorry. I'm like a dog with a bone. What about companies that stay away from bioplastic, but they do recycled plastic?
Like basically all plastic can be recycled.
Yeah.
With your products, I mean, it's always about, can I throw this to recycling or not?
Well, no, because it needs to be burned. So the end of it in tattoo
is always the same.
Yeah, it's always burned. So that's again a point to be mindful with the consumption, right? But I think the only thing we can do besides like checking our own
use.
Yeah, our own use and our own way of like consuming and
you can try to get products that use less product. You know, like if the product you have uses less resources in a way, better.
And so if the origin of it is a little bit cleaner and a little bit less damaging for the environment, although it will end up burned, and therefore you should not abuse of that piece of equipment. Theoretically, it would make not a ton of an impact, but somewhat of an impact, which at this stage is all what we can do is gain like a 1% improve here, a 2% there, a 1.5 there, right? So bioplastic, so far, no. Recycled plastic, why not?
Yes, recycled plastic should always be preferred to like new plastic. And if that is possible in your industry, because recycled plastic can only be used in certain industries. Like you can't make a lot of food containers, for example, or drinking containers can't be made with recycled plastic because there are some chemicals in this recycling process. The plastic is not as clean, so it can't be used. So I'm not sure if you could use it in tattooing products. In medical products, it cannot be used, for example. So I'm not sure if it could be used in tattoo products.
Okay.
But that would be a way to go. I mean, not everything you use does go directly in the skin.
No, yeah, it's what I wanted
I think you can use that.
I bet for sure not like one-way plastic grips or tubes or maybe not the ink cups because the ink goes directly in contact with it. But I bet like plastic sleeves to wrap up the clip cord or like stuff to cover lamps or tables.
And I mean, everything you touch is burned. So if bioplastics evolve and if we have better labels and we know exactly where what comes from and how much weight is made around the world, how much it had of a carbon footprint, how much it had of a water footprint, then maybe it's also something that you can take into consideration. And you can like check if the bioplastic or the real plastic has a smaller footprint, because it depends on so many factors. But there needs to be a better communication to you as a client and to all of us as consumers. If not, you can't make a good decision. And with what they do right now in the bioplastic industry, the only thing they do is fool you.
Yeah. What about a better source of plastic, but that still is provided by the same companies that do most of the regular plastic production?
So better source plastic would be bioplastic, no?
Or recycled one.
Yeah, that's what recycled plastic is an option always.
Even though you're buying a better product, is it a problem for as long as you're buying it from the same motherfuckers that are?
But that's always going to stay that way.
So it's just a matter of like give them an incentive to get a better product or less damaging for even if you're like helping reach the people that are already and that have brought us arguably to this situation, that's too big of a problem to change, right? Keep on, even if these better solutions in terms of plastic come from the same evil guys that brought you Plastic Island of the size of Texas, it doesn't matter. Like, it's all about the product, not so much who's behind.
It's about the product and the progress. Don't be picky, because there won't be many others. Yeah. Like it's an industry that is huge and that they have very, very big players and they're not going to go away. This is going to stay that way. I think what is very important and what I'm trying to do is, first of all, you and many other people in your industry need to be aware.
Yeah.
And if you're aware, you can make a better decision.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're aware, maybe using bioplastic doesn't stop you from understanding that this is still a shitty product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you use it or not, that's one. Both have advantages. Bioplastic has the advantage. Plastic has an advantage. You know, there are many ways to this. But what is really important to me is that people that see this and you and all your colleagues know afterwards that you didn't wash your hands now and this is over.
Yeah.
But that you still have to take care on like how much of this am I using?
Yeah.
What can I avoid? What else can I do? Because this is not contributing
Yeah.
to making the world a better place.
Yeah, and it makes for some awkward interactions. Like every time that people know that who am I married to and what is your work, and then they look around and they see like, dude, we don't have any like green products here. I don't see you like even the rinsing cups.
It is awkward conversation.
Yeah, and it's always either I enter into like a 3-hour debate with them as for like how that's even more damaging, or I just take the forward and go like, yeah, you know, I try to use as less as I can.
I hope you go into the debate, man. It's important. I can give you my talking points.
Maybe we can send a link to this interview, and that's it. Like
check it out, man.
The conversation to end all conversations. Send this fucking link and have people just shut up.
I can also try to do that in a like 1 minute video. I think to make it more efficient.
But way less fun.
Way less fun.
Okay, my love. So I think this, at least on my end, is more or less what I was looking for. Anything on your end? Did I interrupt you in an important part? Did I forget to go into anything? Did we cover more or less everything?
No, I think I'm fine. Like for me, really the most important part is that everybody is aware that bioplastics are not going to change the world, and it's not, as good as it sounds, it's not the solution. And I know that that is just annoying and a little bit painful because we all hoped that this is one step ahead, but it's not.
So now what everyone wants to know, when are you running for office and when can we expect the end of bioplastic, of all plastic companies?
I'm usually in the background and I think I'm going to stay that way.
Is there I feel like this weight on my shoulders, like every time I talk to you about the world and the future, but I know you don't feel like that.
No.
Is there hope?
Yes, of course.
Are you hopeful that although maybe sometimes the efforts are misplaced, that for the most part, most of the people want to do the right thing and they're like aiming to change things and turn things around?
I don't know. I'm generally an optimistic person, as you know, and there's
not when it comes to my like tank shark. No, how is it called? Like Shark Tank pitches. There you like. I don't let you. You don't let me not even do like the 3-minute speech.
You can see my face expression.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like no, that sucks. But generally, yeah, you are.
But generally speaking, I'm an optimist, and I find my work extremely motivating because I work every day with people that really want to change something, that have great ideas, and that give all their life to change. And I see a lot of change every day. Mm-hmm. Small things from like little boxes in parks where you can put your pizza boxes so that they can be recycled better. Great. That makes me already like cheer for the person that put that there. I see that now every day there are more reusable products. Mm-hmm. Like every day we sell less plastic cups and we use more reusable cups. Like people bring their own things to a supermarket. Instead of getting like boxes everywhere, they bring their own box. They can be filled in supermarkets now. Small steps, but that are really, really important. And I mean, you know that we work with a lot of lawsuits. We've won a crazy amount of lawsuits. Mm-hmm. We've changed a great amount of legislation already. And I don't know, I'm positive that we can do more. And I think this next generation is really doing a great job also. Very motivated. I love to go to demonstrations, be on the streets with them.
Gen Zs are better than us, huh?
Yeah, they're definitively very motivated, and I think everybody who calls them lazy is wrong.
God damn it. I think like Alba, my friend Alba put it way better. It's like, yeah, how can we blame them? They saw us working as much as our parents and we didn't get shit for it.
Yeah.
They saw that and went like, fuck that, I'm gonna work like you idiots to get nothing.
They respect their own borders, they respect their mental health. It's smart.
Yeah. And I guess like if there's a conclusion out of this, is like it's the little things, right? It's the little things in life, it's the little things that you can do to make things better.
We all can do so much. Like you and I, everybody that is listening, small steps are really, really important.
Okay. That's it for me, I think.
Cool.
It's a
happy to help, like always.
It's a good place to leave things. I don't know if this will be the last episode of this season or the one before, but in any case, I cannot imagine a better way to, you know, drive us to the fucking cliff like Thelma and Louise. And thanks for taking the time and doing this.
My pleasure.
Adios, Pato.
Bye.
I love you.